We have a fresh reaction coming on from the US President Donald Trump. Listen in.
To say I want to make peace. He doesn't have to stand there and say about Putin this, Putin that, all negative things. He's got to say, I want to make peace. I don't want to fight a war any longer. His people are dying. He doesn't have the cards, just so you understand it, okay? I can tell you.
Could you tell Zelensky to leave the White House?
I don't have to tell you that. Go ahead. I think you know the answer to it. What? Wait. Look, I don't trust or distrust anybody. I just want to get a deal done. And if the deal happens, good. But you can't embolden somebody that does not have the cards, and all of a sudden that person says, oh, well, now I can keep fighting. We're not going to keep fighting. You're going to get the war done, or let them go and see what happens. Let them fight it out. I want anybody that's going to make peace. If he's capable of making peace, which he may or may not be, but I want somebody that's going to make peace. Again, he doesn't have the cards. When we sign up, he's got all of the cards. That doesn't mean he can fight. He's got to stop the fighting, stop the death. He's losing hundreds of thousands of soldiers. It's time to stop the death.
Well, you just heard the US President Donald Trump, and we have Akansha also joining us this morning. Akansha, very good morning. A high-profile meeting between Zelensky and Trump, which has devolved into a shouting match as the two leaders discussed the future of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. What do you have to say in that?
Whatever time we've been tracking U.S. politics in the past couple of decades, this has been unprecedented. Kaveri, this kind of scenes coming out from the Oval Office, I think, are a clear-cut indication of how serious the situation is now and how this is going to rapidly sort of going to go downhill, not just for Ukraine, but also for all of Europe. We are seeing how the entire European Union is now already rallying behind the Ukrainian president, who, as all of U.S. media is saying, has been kicked out of the Oval Office. Literally, there are details coming out of how lunch was left waiting while the Ukrainian president was in attendance. And, of course, the U.S. president was just not happy, or he was extremely unhappy with the Ukrainian president's body language. He said he was disrespectful. He was ungrateful for all the U.S. aid that's come in. There were sharp contrasts being drawn between the previous Democratic administrations of whether President Obama or President Joe Biden. And Donald Trump talked about how much aid, in fact, as far as defense aid that's concerned, he's highlighted how U.S. assisted Ukraine with javelins, and whereas under President Obama's administration, Ukraine only could secure sheets. And that's why I think what's going to now bear the brunt is going to be the entire peace process. Remember, for Washington, it's always been that they want business done. And I think just a day ago when Prime Minister Keir Starmer of UK was there at the Oval House, the U.S. president made it amply clear that by doing this minerals deal with Ukraine, they'll be able to ensure a sort of a security guarantee for Ukraine, because he clearly highlighted how that will sort of put a backstop to any Russian aggression if the U.S. is involved on Ukrainian soil. And now that that mineral deal has not happened, there is going to be no U.S. presence. There will be no U.S. deterrent for further Russian aggression. Does that mean Russia will now move forward if no peace deal happens? Even though in the last reaction that we've just played out, there seems to be one glimmer of hope. If the Ukrainian president is willing to make that egotistical compromise and perhaps return to Washington, return to the Oval House, and take that conversation forward. But as of now, the global climate is extremely divided, and we've seen how the U.S. president himself wants the Ukrainian president when he said that you want a World War III. This is going to be a very divided global order, as I've been constantly highlighting consistently, that there's already been a tectonic shift in Washington's approach towards Moscow. So you can see that the European Union, because of its own fears of how there could be aggression from Russia on its own borders, is backing Ukraine, let alone the whole issue of NATO membership. Right now, Ukraine needs to be ducking for cover.
Right, Akansha, and the global climate is not just divided but also very heated up after this meeting. We'll keep coming back to you for more. Please stay on with us. We have a ground report coming in from our special correspondent Sanjay Suri. Let's listen in.
Who could have thought that this presidential meeting would descend into anything like what we've seen? That differences between President Zelensky and Trump would boil over into a near brawl of sorts at the Oval Office at the White House. We've seen those exchanges. Who hasn't? Vice President Vance first telling Zelensky it's disrespectful of him to have come to the Oval Office and try to litigate in front of the American media to attack the administration that's trying to prevent the destruction of Ukraine. Zelensky saying the US will feel the effects of war later. Trump then stepping in to say you're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. And then the two presidents sitting there talking over one another, Trump the louder one, and Trump telling Zelensky, you don't have the cards, you're gambling with the lives of millions of people, gambling with World War III, and what you're doing is very disrespectful to this country. Your country is in big trouble, you're not winning this. Make a deal or we're out, and if we're out, you fight it out, and it's not going to be pretty. Strong stuff. The signing of the expected mineral extraction deal was cancelled. The press conference where it was to be signed was cancelled. The talks were cancelled. Lunch was cancelled. Zelensky was asked to leave with the parting words that he can come back when he's ready for peace. This diplomatic punch-up could now leave Ukraine dangerously exposed. It has left the United States divided. Of course, it did bring predictable glee at the Kremlin. Within Europe, it's opened up Atlantic-wide differences with the US, and this has given new urgency now to the meeting of European leaders called in London this Sunday to explore a common defense strategy in the absence of US protection. There's never been a public meeting between two presidents quite like this. Zelensky sought to cover it all with some polite words, but this leaves hanging that very difficult question whether this brawl will mean a breakdown or whether diplomacy can reclaim something from this rubble.